Back in the day, my dad was a total punk, and my mom was never one to play by the rules either. You would think I'd have turned out just like them, but by the time I hit 6th grade, they realized I never skipped class. My mom would pinch my report card, flipping it over and over. Completely clueless on how to make sense of it, when I read out my top-tier grades, those two, who were just making such a racket, instantly went dead silent. At that moment, the look my dad gave me was like he was staring at a straight-up undercover cop. Word has it, when my dad named me, even the delivery nurse did a double take. I mean, on the registration form, under father, it said Zhou Dabiao. And under mother, it said son Lihong. 2 people with actual rap sheets at the local precinct, naming their kid Zhou Zheng, meaning proper and upright. That joke went around our block for years. My old man, Zhou Dabiao, went by the nickname Brother Biao. Back in the 90s, he was a massive deal around town. Loud Hawaiian shirts, chunky gold chains, and a cheap cigarette permanently glued to his lips. Every pool hall on West Street, video arcade, and roller rink. He could walk right into any of them without dropping a single dime. My mom, she could hold her own in a fight against any guy. Put those two together, and it was a match made in hell. Whenever the neighbors brought them up, the verdict was always the same. No way those two were raising a decent kid. They were just waiting to see how messed up I would turn out. Then came finals week in 6th grade. I got home from school that afternoon, sat down at the table, and just started doing my winter break homework. With my feet propped up on the coffee table, my dad was out on the balcony, smoking and on the phone. He was being super loud, sounding like he was setting up plans to go drinking that night. Everything was perfectly normal, until my mom casually asked, "Hey, Zheng, how did your exams go?" 97 in English, I said. The living room went dead silent. The TV was still blaring in the background. But my mom wasn't watching anymore. The sunflower seed she was about to eat just froze at her lips, uncracked for what felt like forever. Even my dad's phone call out on the balcony went completely quiet. About 10 seconds passed. My mom slowly put the seed down. Her slippers smacked the floor as she walked over. "Say that again?" What was the perfect score? 300. My mom stared at me for 5 solid seconds, then whipped her head toward the balcony, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Zhou Dabiao, get over here." My dad swaggered in, a cigarette still wedged between his fingers, looking totally annoyed. "What now?" My mom pointed a shaking finger at me. "Your son just said he scored 295. My dad blinked. "Out of what?" 300, I replied. He slowly pulled the cigarette away from his mouth. The two of them just stared at each other. There was a whole lot of mixed emotions in that look. Total and utter confusion. There was even a moment when my mom broke the silence first. "Is it possible we brought home the wrong kid?" My dad didn't answer. He just grabbed my backpack and rummaged through it, pulling out my test papers. He unfolded them one by one. Language arts, 98. 2 points off for the essay. Math, 100. English, 97. 3 points off for listening. Black ink on white paper, with red check marks, packed densely all over the pages. Then he looked up at me. "Do you usually score like this? What's your rank in the grade?" 3rd. The last 2 times I was 1st. This time I went off topic on the essay, so I lost 2 points. My mom flopped down heavily onto the sofa. Sunflower seed shells scattered all over her lap. 3rd. 3rd in the whole grade. Her voice dropped to a whisper, sounding like she was talking to herself. The kid that I, son Lihong, gave birth to. My dad set the papers down and sat right across from me. He sat perfectly straight, which was incredibly rare in our house. Normally, he'd be slouched over with his legs crossed high up in the air. But this time, he sat like he was the one being interrogated. "Are you being bullied by someone out there? Tell your old man the truth. Is somebody threatening you, forcing you to get good grades?" I turned my head to look at him. My very own father, Zhou Dabiao, upon finding out his son got top-tier grades. There were people arguing in the distance. My dad stood up, walked over to the balcony, and stubbed out his cigarette. He shot a glance back at my mom and whispered something, but he severely underestimated my hearing. He said, "Hong, be honest with me. He isn't old Lee's from next door, is he?" My mom hurled a pillow straight at his head. That night, my dad didn't go out drinking. He didn't go play cards, either. He just sat in the living room watching TV all night long. Didn't even change the channel once. It was playing Animal Planet. My mom told me later, "Your dad smoked a whole pack of cigarettes that night." His voice was completely hoarse the next morning, like he'd suffered some massive shock. Early the next morning, before I was even out of bed, I heard a commotion in the living room. My dad was on the phone. Do you have any idea what third in the grade means? No, not third place in a street fight. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Do you think it skipped a generation? My grandpa went to a traditional school for a few days, didn't he? Stop with the wild theories, I just need to ask you one thing. What's the best middle school in our county? Yeah, the experimental middle school. What does it take to get him in there? As long as his grades are good, we're good. Yeah, alright, I'll ask around. He hung up the phone. Immediately, he dialed another number. Hey, Brother Zhang, it's Biaozi. Got a quick question for you. Your daughter goes to experimental middle school, right? That school, is it tough to get into? His tone was completely different from usual. Normally, when he talked to people, it was loud, rough, and in your face. But now, there was this carefulness to it. Like a really rough guy, suddenly holding a piece of fragile jade, terrified of shattering it. I lay there listening under the covers, and my nose stung a little. Just a little bit, though. Later that day, at noon, he slammed a book down on my desk. Bought this for you. I glanced at the cover. High school edition. Dad, I'm in 6th grade. This is for high schoolers. His expression shifted a bit, but he refused to back down. Well, just read it early then. The slow birds gotta start flying early, don't you know that? My mom poked her head out from the kitchen. Wow, you actually know about the slow bird flying early? I honestly thought that was the end of it. He usually dropped things after 3 days. Like that time he swore he was gonna quit smoking, and was right back at it the very next day. He'd just make a pot of stewed ribs that night to smooth things over. But this time, it was different. I was in my room doing math Olympiad problems, when suddenly, I heard people outside. I could tell just by listening, it was my dad's old crew. They all had legit jobs now. Some fixed cars, some sold fruit, some ran underground poker rooms, and some drove cabs. But whenever they got together, they still had that same old street thug vibe. Biao, man, where's the kid at? My door swung open, my dad stood in the doorway. And all of them stared right at me. I was just sitting there at my desk, gripping my pen, with a math Olympiad workbook spread out in front of me. Hausi was the first one to speak up. Uncle Arhu leaned over and took a hard look at my workbook. What the hell is this? What's all this scribbled on here? I'm solving equations, I said. Solving what now? Linear equations with one variable. He looked at me like I was a straight-up alien. Then, DeLong swaggered over, holding a bottle of beer. Hey, are you getting bullied at school or something? If not, why the hell are you studying so hard? I just sat there in silence. I had no idea how to answer that. Because in their minds, being good at school, it needed a reason. You needed to be forced into it. Just like how they all ended up running the streets back in the day. They all had their reasons. Their families were dead broke, or they were getting bullied. Since their parents don't give a damn, in their eyes, the whole idea of studying voluntarily simply doesn't exist. There has to be some kind of underlying drive, which is just liking it. The entire room went dead silent. Uncle Iron Pillar slowly turned his head. Brother Biao, something ain't quite right with this son of yours. My dad's face darkened for a split second, but he quickly bounced back. He turned back toward the living room, calling everyone over to drink. Right before leaving, he tossed me a line. Stop studying. Come out and have some fruit. No thanks. I still have 2 math problems left. He opened his mouth, but didn't say a word. He gently closed the door. Gently. That word is incredibly rare in our house. You have to understand, when my dad shuts the door. I leaned over my desk and kept doing my problems, but my ears were completely pricked up. They started drinking, and their voices gradually grew louder. This kid is an absolute freak. That was my dad's voice. From when he was a baby till now, he hasn't made me worry for a single damn day. He doesn't ditch class, doesn't get into fights, doesn't date around, doesn't rot his brain on the internet. Sometimes I fucking wonder, am I just a massive failure? Other people's kids revel by ditching school and brawling. My son, his voice paused for a second. My son's rebellion is getting first place. A roar of laughter erupted in the room. Be happy with what you got, Brother Biao. Last time, my brat smashed the neighbor's window. Mine's even more ridiculous. His homeroom teacher called me into the school. I've been there 3 times already. I've sat in that chair so much it's got a permanent dent. At least you guys still get called in. The teachers have completely given up on mine. They straight up said they don't care if he shows up or not. The guys all chimed in, one after another. Then, they all looked at my dad in unison. You're still the lucky one, Brother Biao. Uncle Two Tigers held his glass, looking deeply moved. God is fair. He let you run wild on the streets for half your life. And now he's paying you back with a genius son. That night, after they left, I came out to get some water. I saw my dad sitting on the couch, staring blankly. The coffee table was covered in empty beer bottles. The TV was off. He was just sitting there in dead silence. I poured a glass of water, and set it down in front of him. He looked up at me. What do you want to do in the future? Haven't thought about it yet. Then take your time, no matter what you want to do. Dad's got your back. He suddenly added a sentence, if you ever get bullied at school. Helping you beat someone up is absolutely no problem. I turned back to look at him. He had a dead serious look on his face. I chuckled. Got it. I went back to my room and shut the door. Classic dad. He's always terrified I'll get picked on. But what he didn't know was, the entire grade already knew I was Boss Biao's son. Nobody would ever dare lay a finger on me. Even when picking teams in gym class, everyone fought to have me on their side. And it wasn't because I was good at sports. It was because whichever team had Boss Biao's kid, the other team wouldn't dare commit a single foul. I guess that's the power of coming from a good family. Even if my family's power was a little different from everyone else's. I got accepted into the best middle school in the county. Ranked number 1 in the whole school on the entrance exam. The day the acceptance letter arrived, my mom was doing a client's nails at her salon. The delivery guy dropped it off. She signed for it, ripped it open, and took a look. Provincial Key Experimental Middle School. Letter of acceptance. The little brush slipped right out of her hand, splashing nail polish all over her client's fingers. The client was just about to blow up, until she realized exactly who was sitting in front of her. Sister Hong. Her anger was instantly extinguished. Sister Hong, congratulations. Your kid is amazing. My mom didn't even hear her. She was glued to that letter, flipping it over and reading it again and again. Then she grabbed her phone and dialed my dad, Zhou Dabiao. The letter is here. What letter? Your son's. For the experimental middle school. The other end of the line went dead silent for a second. Then, my dad lowered his voice. Isn't that school super expensive? You deaf? He got accepted. He tested in, the kind where we don't have to pay a single dime. They're even giving him a scholarship. How much? 2,000. There was silence again. My dad was fixing a car at the time. When he heard the news, the wrench slipped right out of his hand and smashed onto his own foot. He just screamed 3 words into the phone. Then he hopped around yelling. On the first day of school, my dad insisted on dropping me off himself, riding that heavily modified motorcycle of his. The one with the extra thick exhaust pipe that sounded like a literal tractor. We rumbled all the way up to the school gates, with half the street staring at us. My dad was wearing a black t-shirt, a chunky gold chain around his neck, and his sunglasses pushed up on his head. He strolled right toward the school gates with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Hello there. The teacher on duty stopped him. I'm just dropping my boy off for registration. The teacher took one look at him. Then took a look at his tattoos. Confusion, shock, acceptance, utter bewilderment, and finally, a forced smile. Sir, could you please put that out? There's no smoking on campus. For once, my old man didn't make a scene. He just stubbed out his cigarette, tucked it behind his ear, and walked me to my dorm room. He helped me carry my bags inside, and made my bed. His movements were even more careful than when he fixes cars. Standing at the dorm door, he glanced at the public restroom and frowned. These conditions. This is the best dorm in the whole county. He pursed his lips. Stopped at the corner of the hallway, and looked back at me. If anyone picks on you, I know, I'll tell you. He waved his hand dismissively. Hit them back first. If you still can't win, then tell me. The roar of his motorcycle exploded across the campus. My roommate leaned over. What does your dad do? He just fixes cars. There was no need to explain. For all 3 years of middle school, nobody messed with me. Not a single person. It wasn't because I was tough. It was because during the first week of school, a rumor spread across the entire school. Zhou Zheng from grade 7, class 3, is the son of brother Biao from West Street. The source of the rumor was unknown, but it was incredibly effective. Even the most arrogant 9th grade seniors would step aside when they walked past me. Once, during recess exercises, one guy turned around, saw it was me, and his face went completely pale. He mumbled something and bolted, as fast as a rabbit. The classmate next to me was dumbfounded. Zhou Zheng, what exactly does your dad do? He runs an auto repair shop. A mechanic can scare people like that? I thought about it for a second. He fixes a lot of cars. Actually, I knew the real reason. Even though my old man had long since left the street life, his reputation was still there. In our small county town, the name Brother Biao was an all-access pass and an umbrella of protection. The difference was, I used that reputation just to quietly do my homework. I guess that's the power of genetic mutation. It made my dad completely face reality. Here's what happened. On the midterm exams, I ranked first in the whole school. At the grade assembly, the principal read my name himself. Zhou Zheng from grade 8, class 3. Total score, 687. First place in the grade. Please come up to the stage to receive your award. The whole crowd clapped. I went up and got a certificate and a thermos. A classmate next to me leaned in. This was all perfectly normal. What wasn't normal was that parents were actually invited to attend this specific assembly. My mom showed up. She had gotten her hair done that day, wearing a pretty formal outfit. Well, at least formal for her. A leopard print coat and bright red high heels. She even had a fresh set of nails done, covered in glitter. Sitting in the parents section, surrounded by other parents dressed so plainly. She looked like a peacock wandering into a flock of chickens. But she couldn't care less. When the principal called out Zhou Zheng, she shot straight up from her seat. That's my boy. Standing on the stage, my mouth twitched. My homeroom teacher called her to the office. I thought I was getting praised. Zhou Zheng's mom. Just call me Sister Hong. Mr. Li's mouth twitched. Hong, Zhou Zheng's mom. There's something I'd like to discuss with you. Zhou Zheng's grades are absolutely outstanding. Math Olympiad. What's that? It's a math competition. A competition? Like a fighting tournament or something? Close enough. My mom slapped her thigh. Hell yeah, my son will definitely crush it in a tournament. Mr. Li took a deep breath. It's a tournament where you fight with your brain. Even better. Mr. Li later told me the truth. Even though your mom's aura is pretty intimidating, she is genuinely so proud of you. I know. When she was leaving, she stood by the office door for a long time. Looking at what? Looking at your certificates. The ones we put up on the hallway wall. How long did she look? About 10 minutes. She even took pictures with her phone. When I got home that night, inside a frame was my certificate, the one for being first in my grade. It was hanging right in the dead center of the living room. The exact spot where my dad's old photo from his younger days used to hang. The one of him riding a motorcycle, wearing sunglasses and a floral shirt. My dad was sitting on the couch watching TV. I pointed at the frame on the wall. He followed my finger and took a look. Is that photo really going to hang in the bathroom now? You know what she said? Your old picture has been hanging there for over 10 years. I looked at my certificate on the wall, and then looked at my dad. He didn't say anything out loud, but I noticed a little detail. He had switched his cigarettes from the cheap Hongtashan to the premium Tsinghua. I asked him why. My mom rolled her eyes next to us, but she didn't argue. 2 months before the high school entrance exams, the whole school went into full battle mode. I did too, but my version of battle mode was a bit different from everyone else's. While others were frantically grinding through practice tests, I was just pacing myself. My mom commented, "This kid treats studying like a 9-to-5 job." But it was exactly this clocking in and out habit that caused a bit of an incident right before the exams. I saw 3 guys blocking my front door. Didn't recognize them. From the way they dressed, they looked like they were from out of town. They saw me, and exchanged a look. "You're Zhou Zheng?" "Yeah, Brother Biao's son." The lead guy smiled. It wasn't exactly a friendly smile. "You're coming with us." I stood my ground. Didn't move an inch. I gripped my backpack straps a little tighter. My heart was racing, but I didn't show it on my face. "If you've got business with my dad, go find him directly. I'm not getting involved. Your dad ain't answering his phone. That's his problem. I've still got homework to do." The lead guy froze for a second. He'd probably never run into a situation like this before. Trying to use someone as leverage, only to have the hostage worrying about homework. "Are you deaf or something?" A voice suddenly boomed from the other end of the alley. Riding his beat-up motorcycle, he parked right at the entrance. He was totally empty-handed. But his face, how should I describe it? It was like freezing iron in the dead of winter. So cold it could rip your skin right off. The lead guy's expression shifted, but he kept up the tough act. "Hey, we can talk this out. That debt from back then." As he walked past me, he put his hand on my shoulder and gave me a gentle push backward. "Go do your homework." I hesitated for a second, then went inside. The door clicked shut. Sounds from outside drifted in on and off. I couldn't make out exactly what they were saying, but I did hear a sound. A heavy, dull thud, like a fist smashing into meat. Then came the chaotic sound of scrambling footsteps. Someone cried out in pain. It lasted about 2 minutes. Then, dead silence. When he came in, the back of his hand was a bit red. His knuckles were scraped raw. He just grabbed a bottle of beer from the fridge and sat down on the couch like absolutely nothing had happened. You've got school tomorrow, don't you? I went back to my room and sat down at my desk. Flipped open my math worksheet. Question number 1. The tip of my pen touched the paper. I felt this indescribable emotion. I managed to finish 2 questions before I finally calmed down. Later on, I asked my mom about what happened that day. My mom told me, back when your dad used to run a business, he got mixed up in a messy financial dispute. The guys were from out of town. They couldn't track him down for the longest time. Who knows how they managed to dig up our address this time? And then? I asked. And then your dad beat the crap out of them and sent them packing, obviously. Just like that? Well, what did you expect? She rolled her eyes. Your dad is no pushover, you know. She paused for a moment. But after that, your dad did something. He sold the auto repair shop. The shop was on West Street, and it stood out way too much. He was worried those guys would come looking for trouble again and mess up your studies. So he went over to help out at your uncle's place instead. She sounded so incredibly calm when she said it, like she was just telling me groceries went up a few cents. But I knew better. That shop on West Street. That was where my dad had worked for over 10 years. All his buddies, his friends, his regular customers. They were all on that street. Just to make sure no one would track us down at home. He packed up his entire life and walked away. That night, I finished all my practice tests. I even did 2 extra sets compared to my usual routine. I don't know why. I just felt like I had to do more. I remember the day the high school entrance exam results came out like it was yesterday. It was early July, and the cicadas were buzzing so loud it sounded like a rock concert. The scores were posted online. I checked them on our computer at home. My dad was standing right behind my mom. I could hear both of them breathing way heavier than usual. The page loaded, and a row of numbers popped up on the screen. First place in the county. Third place in the entire city. There was another line of text right below it. Congratulations on your early admission to City Number 1 High School. It was dead silent in front of that screen for about 5 seconds, and then my mom just screamed. Zhou Dabiao. He's number 1 in the whole county. She threw her arms around me and squeezed me so tight I could barely breathe. My son is number 1 in the county. My face was literally turning red from how hard she was holding me. Mom, you're crushing me. Let go a little. But she wouldn't let go. She just squeezed me even tighter. I could feel her hands shaking. And my dad? He didn't hug me. He just stood right there, frozen like a statue. I tilted my head out from my mom's arms to look at him. The muscles in his jaw were twitching. I didn't know what he was trying to hold back, probably fighting to keep the tears from falling. After all, he's Zhou Dabiao, the absolute boss of West Street. But he let out this quick sniffle. It was so fast, if I hadn't been looking, I would have completely missed it. Then he cleared his throat. His voice was unbelievably hoarse. All right, that's enough hugging. The boy hasn't even eaten yet. He turned around and walked toward the kitchen. As he walked past me, he raised his hand and patted the top of my head. Just a really gentle pat. Good job, son. Just 3 words. Then he went straight into the kitchen. I heard the clatter of a spatula and the sound of the faucet running. Whoosh. It ran for a really long time. My mom finally let me go. She glanced toward the kitchen and whispered to me, "Your dad is probably in there crying. Don't expose him." That night, my old man cooked an entire table of food. He never usually cooks. Says it's too much of a hassle, but that day, braised pork ribs, sweet and sour fish, braised prawns, and garlic broccoli. He filled the whole table. The cooking was hit or miss. The ribs were way too salty. The fish was a bit burnt. The prawns were good though. But I ate every last bite. My dad took a call. It was from Uncle Urhu, number 1 in the whole county. My dad pulled the phone away from his ear a bit. How did you raise a kid like that? My dad went quiet for a second. He honestly had no idea. He never helped me with a single math problem, never checked my homework even once, and never signed me up for any tutoring classes. He didn't even know what my textbooks looked like. Literally all he did was make sure nobody bothered me, and make sure I had food on the table. My dad went out again for a bit, came back carrying a case of beer. He popped one open for himself. Looking out into the night, I walked over holding a glass of water, and stood right next to him. He didn't look at me. So, are you gonna be going to school in the city now? How often will you come back? Probably, once a month. He just gave a grunt, and tapped his cigarette against the railing. If you're short on cash, just tell me. And if I get bullied, I'll tell you too. He finally turned his head and gave me a look. Flashing a canine tooth. You little punk. You're getting way too slick. I get it from you. He froze for a second. Then his loud laughter echoed through the alley in the summer night. The lights on the second floor next door flicked on. Someone pushed their window open and poked their head out. Who the hell is making all that noise in the middle of the night? My old man tilted his head back and roared right back at them. The guy realized it was Joe Dabiao, and quietly shut his window. Standing right there, I couldn't help but crack up too. That's my dad for you. Always rough around the edges. Completely unreasonable, but he loves me. In his own way, clumsy, silent, and terrible at expressing his feelings. And that's enough. It really is enough. The best high school in the entire city. First day of classes, my dad insisted on dropping me off. He didn't ride his motorcycle this time, though. He borrowed a van from Uncle Urhu, and stuffed my suitcase. My bedding, and all my toiletries inside. He even crammed in an extra case of instant noodles, and 2 whole crates of milk. Oh, and a massive bag of snacks. You think cafeteria food is gonna be as good as home? Please, it's not like you've cooked that much for me anyway. The minivan drove for an hour and a half before pulling up to the gate of City First High School. The entrance was packed with private cars. Audis, BMWs, Mercedes-Benz. Our minivan was squeezed right in the middle, looking like a dusty gray brick stuck in a pristine white wall. My dad parked the car and stepped out. He was wearing a white button-down shirt today. I froze for a second. Why are you wearing a dress shirt? Except, he had rolled the sleeves way up. A crisp white shirt paired with full-sleeve tattoos. What a combo. How should I put it? It was like wearing a tuxedo with flip-flops. A uniquely jarring aesthetic. Couldn't you just roll your sleeves down? I gave up, grabbed my luggage, and headed toward the dorms. We bumped into a lot of other freshmen's parents on the way. When they saw my dad's ink, their eyes would linger for an extra second or two, but nobody said a word. It was a huge step up from middle school. Ensuite bathroom, and even air conditioning. My dad took a good look around the place. He looked way more satisfied than he did back in middle school. These conditions are decent. He helped me make my bed, and he did it even more meticulously than my mom would have. The blanket was folded into a perfect square, the pillow perfectly centered. Your grandpa was in the military, you know. Since when did you learn that from grandpa? Standing right in the middle of the room, he did one last sweep of the place. He walked to the door, then stopped for a second. Come on, don't get all emotional on me, I asked. He walked out, but by the time he reached the stairs, he turned right back around. He dug into his pants pocket, pulled out a thick wad of cash, and shoved it into my hands. Pocket money, don't go starving yourself. I looked down at it. A perfectly neat stack, all sorts of different bills. There were hundreds. And even a few crumpled tens. It looked like he had scraped it together from everywhere. Why are you giving me so much? Just take it. He spun around and walked off. This time, he didn't look back. I watched his back disappear around the corner of the stairs. There was a huge crease on the back of his white shirt. The kind you get when you don't know how to use an iron. It was definitely his very first time ironing a shirt himself. I looked down at the wad of cash in my hands and counted it out. The amount of money my dad spent on himself in a whole month was exactly this much. When I walked back into the dorm, 2 of my roommates had already arrived. One guy wearing glasses was busy organizing his bookshelf. Another tall guy was lounging on his bed, scrolling through his phone. When they saw me walk in, they both looked up. The guy with glasses spoke up first. I'm Zhou Zheng. I'm Lin Yabai. The tall guy sat up as well. Zhao Haoshan, where are you from? Both of them suddenly went dead silent. Lin Yabai pushed his glasses up his nose. The one who placed third in the entire county. Zhao Haoshan dropped his phone and sat completely straight. I had 2 roommates. Later on, our 4th roommate arrived too. His last name was Chen. He didn't say much, but he was a pretty good guy. The 4 of us got along really well. One night, after we'd been living together for about 2 weeks, Zhao Haoshan suddenly sat up. He asked in a super gossipy tone, so, what do your parents do? Was your dad, like, in a gang before? I shot him a look. How did you know? I saw it the day he dropped you off. That tattoo your dad has. He gestured to his own arm. It looks pretty hardcore. He's just a regular mechanic now. But was he a total badass back in the day? Zhou Zheng was getting excited. Just looking at his vibe. Something like that. What do you mean, something like that? I thought about it for a second. Back in our hometown, his name carries some weight. Zhou Zheng and Lin Yabai exchanged a look. That kind of contrast was definitely enough to keep them guessing for a while. I consistently stayed in the top 3 of my grade. I got near perfect scores in math and physics almost every single time. My homeroom teacher pulled me in for a chat no less than 10 times. And every single time, it was the exact same topic. Have you considered Tsinghua or Peking University? I have. I never brought this up with my dad. I was afraid it would put way too much pressure on him. In other families, the kids are the ones stressed out. In my family, it was the parents. Because every time my dad even heard the word college, he would spiral into a state of sheer panic. He wasn't worried that I wouldn't get in. He was worried about whether he was good enough to be my dad. Everyone else's parents are probably professors or CEOs or something. Dad, they don't have parent-teacher conferences in college. You could visibly see the relief wash over him. Oh, that's good then. The final semester of senior year. The final sprint. I woke up at 5:30 every morning and went to bed at 11 every night. I only went home once a week. And every time I did, there was always a bowl of pork rib soup on the table. Made by my mom. Mom, I eat perfectly fine at school. How can you even eat that cafeteria food? So, I drank it. I drank it every single time. Then came the college entrance exams. June 7th. My dad was up by 4 in the morning. I heard him. While I was eating breakfast, he just sat right across from me. Just watching me eat. Are you not going to eat? I'm not hungry. Dad, you're way more nervous than I am. Who's nervous? His voice suddenly shot up an octave. My mom walked out of the kitchen. Alright, that's enough. Don't stress the kid out. Just eat your food. My dad silently picked up his bowl and shoveled a few bites into his mouth. When it was time to leave, he stood by the door. Do you want me to drop you off? No, it's fine. The school chartered buses for us. Oh, okay. Finally, he choked out a single word. Zheng. It's okay if you don't do well. I looked at him. He was smiling, but there was something trembling in that smile. As I walked out of the alley, I took one last look back. He was still standing in the doorway, holding an unlit cigarette between his fingers. 2 days of exams passed. On the afternoon it finally ended. June 8th, I walked out of the exam hall. Nothing felt too hard, and nothing felt too easy, either. I caught a cab home. My dad and mom were both there, and so was Uncle Arhu's whole family. My dad didn't ask how it went. Dinner was really lively. Uncle Arhu kept trying to get everyone to drink. Zheng, you're officially an adult now. My dad smacked his hand with a chopstick. He hasn't even gotten his scores yet. Let him drink after we check them. But what if he gets into Tsinghua University? Even then, no drinking. During those days waiting for the results, he asked me every single day, when do the scores come out? And the very next day, he'd ask again. Today is the 12th. He just let out a quiet oh. But he couldn't hide his anxiety at all. My mom told me later. My dad would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, every single night. And just sit in the living room until dawn. He's even more nervous than he was during your exams. Is he afraid I bombed it? My mom gave a little smile. He's not afraid of you failing. Then what? He's afraid you did too well. He's terrified you'll get into a top-tier school, and move too far away from home. I didn't say a word. June 23rd, 8 p.m. The results were out. The whole family was huddled around the computer. Uncle Arhu's family was all there too. I typed in my candidate number. The server was probably crashing. Hundreds of thousands of students across the province were checking at the exact same time. My dad's leg was bouncing up and down. He probably didn't even realize it. Total score, 712. My mom was the first to scream. 712. Uncle Arhu slammed his hand on the table. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. His wife covered her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes. The living room absolutely erupted. Everyone was screaming, clapping and cheering. Everyone, except one person. My dad. He just sat there in his chair, completely frozen, just staring at the screen. His lips were trembling. His hands were clenched into tight fists, resting on his knees. And his eyes were brimming with tears. My mom threw her arms around me. Oh, my boy. Uncle Arhu raised the glass he'd poured ages ago. Brother Biao. Today, you are absolutely drinking. He held up his glass, his lips moving a little. But it was like his throat was totally choked up. He just downed the whole drink in one gulp, turned around, and walked out to the balcony. He stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind him. Through the glass, I could see his back. He was leaning heavily on the railing with both hands, his shoulders shaking up and down. It looked like he was gasping for air, or maybe crying. I wanted to go after him, but my mom grabbed my hand. She shook her head. Let him be alone for a bit. About 3 minutes later, his voice was completely hoarse. He came over and stood right in front of me, patting me hard on the shoulder, just like he did back when I took my high school entrance exams. But this time, he added one more thing. Then he spun around and roared at Uncle Arhu. Open the liquor. We're not stopping until we're dead drunk tonight. First one to tap out is a wimp. Uncle Arhu let out a whoop and jumped right up. My dad drank over a liter of hard liquor. Uncle Arhu had to carry him back to the bedroom. He didn't wake up until noon the next day. And the very first thing he did was lean over the bed and dry heave for 5 straight minutes. When he was finally done, he looked up. Are you crazy? You must have looked at that thing 20 times already. He just chuckled, and buried his face right back into the pillow. Then he mumbled out of nowhere, I never in my wildest dreams. I was standing right outside his door when I heard him say that. I turned around and went back to my room. Later on, my mom told me. My dad actually went out and paid a visit to a tattoo parlor. He spent $3,000 to get rid of the blue dragon he'd had on his arm for over a decade. He was gritting his teeth in pure agony the whole time. When my mom asked him why on earth he did it, he just said, my son is going to Tsinghua University now. A father needs to look respectable. You've had that tattoo for 20 years. So what? My boy is way more important than some ink. He never actually told me about this, of course. I only noticed it myself when I came back home a month later. I didn't ask him about it. I didn't need to. The day the acceptance letter finally arrived in the mail, I wasn't even home. I was hanging out at a friend's place. My mom had to call and drag me back. Get back here right now. She yelled. It's here. I rushed back, and the moment I walked through the door, I saw my dad sitting right there in the living room, holding the envelope in his hands. But he wasn't just holding it normally. He was using both hands, gripping it so carefully, like he was holding something incredibly fragile. I walked over and took it. An acceptance letter from Tsinghua University. My name was right there inside. Doesn't this look way better than that certificate we have at home? That very afternoon, the letter was framed, hung right in the center of the living room. The old certificate was nudged over to the right. The 2 frames hung side by side. One was for ranking first in my 6th grade class, and the other was the Tsinghua acceptance letter. There was a big empty space left in the middle. My mom said, keep it empty. We'll fill it with your master's and PhD degrees later. My dad chimed in from the side. What if he wins a Nobel Prize someday? What on earth are you dreaming about? Can't I even dream a little? September. School was starting. My dad began packing my things a whole week in advance. He bought me a new suitcase. One of those massive ones. Silver colored. That old one of yours is way too small. It won't hold enough stuff. But I don't even have that much stuff. You're going all the way to Beijing. You gotta pack more. It gets freezing up there. He stuffed 2 heavy military winter coats into the suitcase. What if the heating isn't warm enough? Like the heating at Tsinghua wouldn't be warm enough. Take one of those coats out. The day of departure. At the train station, both my mom and dad came to see me off. Uncle Arhu came too, and brother Hausi as well. The whole squad marched in, taking up an entire row of seats in the waiting room. I was honestly a bit speechless. It's not like I'm going abroad, but it's your first time going this far away. My dad didn't say a word. He just carried my suitcase, walking ahead of us, silent the whole way, entering the station, checking the tickets. We got to the ticket gates. People seeing you off couldn't go any further. Alright, you guys head back now. My mom pulled me into a hug. Call home the second you get there. I will. Uncle Arhu patted me on the shoulder. Study hard. Make the Zhou family proud. Brother Hausi handed me a red envelope. Then it was my dad's turn. He just stood there, looking at me. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. I waited. His mouth moved again, but still, not a single word. Finally, he reached out and gave my shoulder a light punch. Go on. I turned around and dragged my suitcase through the gate. I took 2 steps. Just then, I looked back. He was still standing right outside the gate, with his hands shoved deep in his pockets. Now, it's just a healed scar. His hair was freshly cut. After calling my name, it seemed like he didn't know what else to say. He stayed silent for 2 seconds, then smiled, grinning wide and showing that snaggletooth of his. I didn't look back, because if I did, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to hold back my tears. The platform outside the window slowly slipped away, and I saw him with one hand raised in the air. Like it was his first time ever doing it. His figure got smaller and smaller, until he finally disappeared at the end of the platform. The passenger sitting across from me glanced over and asked, "Your folks dropped you off? Your dad looked like he really had a hard time letting you go." He used to be the toughest fighter on the street, and now, he's the proudest dad in the whole county. The guy across from me was totally stunned by what I said. I just leaned back in my seat. The train rumbled on towards the north, the scenery outside the window flashing by. Crop fields, gas stations, toll booths, all fading into the distance, bit by bit. I was carrying my dad's 3,200 in pocket money, the 2 big jars of chili sauce my mom stuffed in my bag, Uncle Arhu's red envelope, and tucked away in the corner of my suitcase. A neatly folded slip of paper. On it was my dad's handwriting. Crooked and wobbly, like a primary school kid wrote it. "Zheng, do well out there. As long as no one bullies you, Dad can rest easy. But if anyone ever does bully you, call me. No matter how far away you are, Dad will come." I folded the note back up and slipped it into the inner pocket of my wallet. 4 years of undergrad, 3 years of grad school. That slip of paper stayed right there in my wallet the whole time, never leaving my side. Just like my dad's words. The year I got my master's degree, I stayed in Beijing. Working at a tech company with a pretty good salary. I called home to tell my dad about it. It got quiet on the other end of the line for a second. "You're staying in Beijing?" "Yeah, I'm not coming back. My job is over here. I can't really go back." "That's fine too." His voice was totally flat. But I know him. The flatter he sounds, the more he's holding inside. I went back home for the National Day holiday. Walking into the alley, absolutely nothing had changed. Our front door was still that same old iron gate, it just had a new lock on it. I pushed the door open and went in. My dad was out in the courtyard. Planting flowers, roses. You heard that right. Joe Dabiao, the former tough guy of West Street, was squatting in front of a flower pot. Wearing gloves, carefully packing soil around the roots of the flowers. He saw me, and looked up. "You're back. Have you eaten? I had a little something on the way. Your mom made ribs." He dusted off his hands. His hair had gone a bit gray, and there were more wrinkles on his face. His belly had grown a size too, but he still had that same energy. That spark in his eyes, it was still there. Going inside, I noticed the living room had changed. On that wall, certificates, acceptance letters, diplomas, even my master's degree, all lined up in a row. It looked like a wall of honor. And right in the corner, there was a new picture. It was a family photo from my undergrad graduation. I was in my cap and gown, standing right in front of the second gate at Tsinghua University. My dad and mom were standing on either side of me. They had made a special trip all the way from the county to Beijing that day. It was the most formal outfit he'd worn in his entire life. Buttoned all the way up to the very top. But he was smiling so brightly. The man in that photo was just an ordinary, middle-aged father, so incredibly proud of his son. At dinner, the table was packed with all my favorite dishes. The exact same menu as the day I took my high school entrance exams. "Your cooking's gotten a lot better. How many years have you been practicing?" "Started right after you left. Figured I should have something good ready for you when you came back." My mom chimed in with a jab. "He ruined my kitchen for 3 years. Blew up pots. Scorched the walls. He almost burned the house down." Later, the two of us sat out in the courtyard. "How much do you make a month?" The cigarette in his hand almost dropped. "Living costs in Beijing are high, though. But still, that's a lot." He went quiet for a moment. "Back then, you said you liked studying." I never really understood that. Understood what? Who in the world do you take after? Maybe it skipped a few generations. "Didn't you say my great-grandpa went to a traditional school?" He scoffed. "Your great-grandpa lasted 3 days before he ran away. Then I guess I'm just a genetic mutation." I haven't done many things right in my life. Bullying folks when I was young, that was wrong. But the one thing I know I did right, was that I never forced you to do anything. People used to say, "Biao, your son is doomed. He's gonna turn out exactly like you." I figured, worst case scenario, I'd just support him for the rest of his life. But you turned out good. Really, really good. His voice dropped to a whisper, almost like he was talking to himself. I just don't know why. You didn't turn out like me. You're so much better than I am. I sat right beside him, just watching him. The man who used to run the whole block, now, sitting here in the autumn moonlight. His hair is completely gray. His shoulders aren't nearly as broad as they used to be. His voice isn't as booming anymore, either. But sitting there, he looks like an old, weathered mountain. But he's my mountain, ever since that noon in the 6th grade. He always has been. You did a lot of things right, too. You gave up the auto repair shop for me. You put on a white shirt when you dropped me off at high school. And the day my acceptance letter came, the way you held it with both hands. And the 3 years you spent practicing how to cook. And, that note, he jerked his head around to look at me. You still kept that? I pulled my wallet out of my pocket and flipped open the hidden slot. That little note, the creases were already worn white from being folded so many times. But the words were still there, written in that crooked handwriting. No matter how far, he stared at that piece of paper for a long, long time. His Adam's apple bobbed up and down. His voice went completely hoarse. I carefully tucked the note away. I was thinking about it earlier. When you asked me who I take after. You're stubborn. Once you set your mind on something, you never look back. Once you lock on, you never let go. The way you protected me, nobody had to teach you that. And nobody had to force me, either. But deep down in our bones, we're exactly the same. The corners of his mouth slowly curled up into a smile. I probably got it from you. Oh, get out of here. When have I ever been a sweet talker? Mom said you were incredibly sweet back when you were chasing her. The courtyard felt completely quiet again. The evening breeze blew past. The rose bushes swayed gently. My old man lit up another cigarette. The smoke drifted and scattered under the moonlight. Out there right now, nobody's actually giving you a hard time, right? No, no one. That's good, then. He leaned back in his chair. Like a heavy weight had finally been lifted off his shoulders. The wind blew past once more. From just outside the alley, someone was calling their kid home for dinner. A dog was barking off in the distance. Everything felt so incredibly ordinary, so incredibly normal, but right now, sitting here in this courtyard, together with him, I felt like I didn't need to be anywhere else in the world.